Right, so we'll start, Mariola, if you don't mind, with yourself. So for you at Tele2, what are the primary challenges that you face or operators are facing in general with increasing adoption of A2P SMS and RCS?
I would say, I would start with the same thing which I said before. I think the trust in SMS, unfortunately, has been partially lost. And I think that it is a very big problem for all of us, because the customer engagement, the click-on rate, and then also the brand engagement, I mean, we see the decline in usage of A2P SMS. And we also hear from aggregators that, yeah, they have some issues of offering it to their customers. We also see another thing happening, that many brands choose to build their own apps and moving the authentication or communication with the customer through their app. And we have, for example, one big one, PostNord in Sweden, logistics, and they build their app, and that is a very big loss for us on the market. I think when we talk about, for example, RCS, I think that one thing is the deployment on the market, of course, education of the market, education of the end customer, education of the brand, but also I think there will be next thing which is coming, interoperability globally. So interoperability of RCS with different markets, so internationally. So how are we going to achieve it? How is it going to happen? Of course, great news with Apple, but obviously this will be another challenge. We know very little about it. We don't know how it will go, but we probably, there will be some requirements from us, operators, from aggregators, to achieve that. And I would like to maybe say one more thing. I think that to adapt to RCS, it requires quite substantial work from aggregators to be able to enable this for the clients, to offer a platform, to offer an easy contract for the client, to make the client to understand it. It means extra resources, it means extra engagement, right? And it is the same from the operator side. Of course, it depends how we choose to do it, if we do it ourselves or in cooperation. But I think this, all of this are definitely challenges which we probably will overcome, and I hope we will. But this is something that we need to now work hard on.
Great. Ollie, I'm sure you've got similar things to you. Anything different, or do you?
No, I think you summarized it quite good, because we need to cooperate in some extent. How we can do it and how much we can do it, that is problematic in some extent because of regulatory stuff. But we need to try to do it, and we have done it for many years in Sweden at least, and in Nordic as well. And try to get the rules, see what we can do, how we can do it. And I thought, as we said, we need to gain trust again, and a lot of the trust that has been lacking right now is all the spams, all the fraudulent messages, I would say, more than just spam, and try to get rid of them in some way. And it has taken some time to do that in a better way, but we are on the track, I think. And I hope that there still is time left to gain the trust back for this carrier messaging in different ways, both for A2P SMS and for RCS messaging or RBM messaging later on as well. Or later on, it should be now, but still, yeah.
Okay, and Simen, from your perspective at Telia, would you say the same? Anything else to add?
It is much the same, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Simen, if I can come to you next, just around how you or we together can protect SMS revenues, but at the same time generate new revenues for new services. Could you give us a view on that from the
Yeah,
operators?
sure. SMS A2P has been around for a long time. We have had it for almost 25 years. It was launched early 2000. And during that time, the operators, the aggregators, solution providers, all the parties here in this room and other have built together a really great working ecosystem. It has been a long work and it's working really good. We see we have some challenges, but when we have to focus on the end user trust, as Mariola said, to fight the fraud, secure the end user trust, we are having initiatives both on our side and with the aggregators. Doing that, we have the SMS sender ID protection launched across the Nordics with the operators and the aggregators, especially Link, doing a great job for the brands, securing the brand trust and the anti-spoofing of sender IDs. We have firewalls and vendors for blocking of fraudulent messages, now using AI. So that is also investing in that part. And I think that we will be able to secure the trust if we all invest in this and take action. So I'm quite confident actually that also in 20 years we will have substantial revenue and traffic on the SMS channel. It's also a great potential to increase use cases. We have many businesses that don't use SMS A2P today. And we have seen the last, especially 5 years during pandemics, that we have a digitalization. So if you digitalize your business, you can build in customer communication instantly. And if you use service providers like aggregators and other, it will be available for small, medium businesses as well. You just tick your box when you purchase your software. So it's messaging included. So that's a vast potential as well for new use cases because it's ubiquitous, it's working all over the world. It's the only service working all over the world like today. So that's potential to expand kind of use cases if it is safe and affordable and easy to kind of activate. And we have all that parts already today. And then if you compare, for example, with the credit card industry, it's an old industry. You have the first credit card issuer in 1947 in the US. You have Amex launched in 1957. We still use credit cards. They are available. They are built into many applications and use cases today. Yeah. Okay, they have added these 3 last numbers, and you have got some extra verification. But we can do the same with SMS. We can build on the basic technology, and also if we secure the trust and the security and the great ecosystem that we have today, we can build upon that and continue. And regarding the RCS, we are investing as other here, especially then Google, but also now Apple, into rich communication services so that we can have even more use cases, especially dialogue and customer dialogue like in call centers and such. So that and other commercial business using messaging without having the app fatigue. So that's a great potential as well. So Telia and the other operators here, especially in Sweden and the Nordics, are investing also in RCS. Yeah. So that was a long answer.
Well, it was a good one. I mean, we touched on a number of things there which we could dig into. The AI part was interesting. I'd like to hear more about that, but we'll perhaps come back to that if we've got time. Simen, Ole, just to come back to the trust element that you mentioned a bit earlier. How do you keep that with businesses and with consumers? What are you doing, and how can you help with that?
As was I said before, behind here, I would like to listen to someone answer this question because it's hard. I don't know the real answer. We try it in very different ways, or in many different ways. I guess we are trying in communication with the regulatory people and stuff to get more the easier way for us to control and help both sending parts and receiving parts to block out spam, block out fraudulent messages and all that stuff. And I think that to gain trust again, it's keep on working with what we are doing. I don't really see the other way to do it. We could, with a new channel like RCS, it will be more clean again, and maybe that can gain trust for SMS as well. That is as a carrier service in that attempt. But I really don't see more than what we are doing. We are working on the right track, and we are open for every kind of suggestions for how to do it better, I would say.
Maybe you should add that we, for example, operators on this market, we took initiative, we contacted the regulator, and now we implemented sender ID protection. And this was operators' initiative, actually, on the market. So we are doing lots of things to assure the business, for example, that it is safe for you to send messages, that for your customer it is safe to receive the messages. I think that this security part is very, very important. And I think that, yeah, network protection, firewalls, everything we do. I mean, investments, what Simen mentioned on AI systems, yeah, so.
Guro, sorry,
I would
we'll
like
come
to
to
add
Guro in a second.
one extra thing, that it's important that the operators are cooperating and doing things, and what we have done in Sweden and now actively soon launching in Norway is the short code that end users can use to forward suspected fraud and spam messages to 7726. Okay. That will be read fraud for those who have an old feature phone in letters. So 7726, and then it will go into automatically into our fraud handling systems on the SMS side. And we are also cooperating with Google and with Apple to receive those spam reports in the Messages app on the phone. So we can receive those and automatically treat those in our firewalls. So that is important to involve also end users, because the definition of the illegal message or the fraudulent message or spam is hard to make only for the operator. But if we include also the recipient, especially for the spam, they know if they have given consent or not. So they can report and we can act on that. So, to enable and activate the end users is also something that we are doing.
So just to look at it from the other side, or from another side, Guro, so link mobility have been very successful in Germany, Italy, France, various other countries. So, you know, what could you maybe bring from that success, or what could you tell these guys, you know, from that success to help them in the Nordics?
Yeah, if we look into what Link Mobility are doing on RCS, I would say in the Nordics we are doing some very interesting pilots that's been very successful. But I think that we are come quite far in our other markets. So specifically in France, Italy, and in Germany. And what we do see is that we are in general pitching on expanding the use cases. So we are actually taking use cases from that was more on an email or was more on a call center and bring that over to a messaging channel. The success that we had is also that we see that the operator been working together in these regions. They're coming up with one offer to the CPaaS player. They have a reasonable price model that is understandable. And we also now see that now in what we are doing in Sweden and the corporations we have. We are just waiting for Telenor as well in Sweden. But I think it's very good that we also see that same trend here, that you are coming up with one set of rules and one set of offers.
You may have already answered that, but just, Ollie, maybe from a carrier perspective, I mean, how much are carriers allowed to cooperate to have a market that's not too fragmented?
Yeah, I don't know. As much as possible. Of course, we cannot handle or discuss everything that's regarding pricing and so on. And that is why we have tried to, and have had for quite some time now, the cooperation on the meetings together with MEF as a moderator in those meetings as well, to steer and see that we handle things in a good way. That will lead, and that has been leading against that we could have the sender ID. We have the same kind of documentation. Really from 10 years ago or 15 years ago, we started to handle the SMS large account and premium services for SMS and so on with the same kind of contractual structure, so we could have an easy way to the market, for the market to use the services from us. And I think it's a good way and a good history to have, but we need to do it more. Yeah.
And is that, again, from, I guess, the CPaaS area, is that something that you can help with in terms of standardization across MNOs?
Yeah, I think that it's very important to have, it doesn't have to be 100% standardized, but on the core things to make it work. Because I would say time to market for RCS in the Nordics, it's now. It's not like in 5 years. We have, for example, here in Sweden, we did some great pilots with the insurance company. We're doing within the governmental lottery. We've been doing it in e-commerce. And what we all see in them, we have higher engagement than it is on SMS. The customers are so far not complaining on the price level, even though we are still in a pilot. And the use cases is an expanding use cases, so it's not actually taking revenue from normal A2P. So of course that's what we see now, and I think that it is way easier for us when we now can get Apple on board, and also if we get all the operators, then of course it will be way easier for us that is out talking with the brands every day.
Yeah. We're just flipping back to the fraud piece, because it does seem to be the hot topic. We talk about RCS a lot right now in this kind of carrier environment. So, and we're talking about fraud a lot. So, I mean, how can RCS help with that fraud issue from your perspective that I guess we're seeing on SMS quite a lot?
I see two sides of it, right? Because I also see that in general, I think when you see RCS, you will more likely click and engage and not be that afraid for being scammed when you get your parcel arrived from a logistic company or something like that. But I also see that this more RCS we will start sending, the more the normal A2P will look fraudulent. So I also think if a brand, let's take a brand like, we can take DHL, for example. If they go full on RCS in the Nordics, then can they still send a message, an OTP, on normal A2P? Then I think that would look very fraudulent. So I think that we need to get the brands to, when they go on RCS, they maybe need to send all their messages that way, because I think that's a better user experience.
Yeah.
But that's kind of difficult when it comes to the revenue streams, right?
Absolutely. Anything to add to that, Mariola?
I was just thinking, what we mentioned before, like all the operators and aggregators on this market, we spend lots of money and effort to keep the market safe. And we're always working more and more on this anti-fraud. And of course, RCS is verified, RCS is branded, but we still see that when RCS is growing, that it could also be used fraudulently, right? So I also see a very big need to very tight cooperation with Google and Apple and even more doing things together to make sure that the RCS environment will be even more secure and that it will give a confidence to both brand and the customer. Because we don't want RCS to go wrong in the, like what has happened with the SMS.
Yeah. Is there anything we can learn from, and I assume Guro has seen this more than you guys at the carriers, is there anything we can learn from the rollout of WhatsApp, for example, in the role of rolling out RCS?
Yeah, I would say there's, when we work with our customers, and we've been quite in large volume moving also SMS traffic over to WhatsApp. There's a lot of positive things about it, but there are some big concerns from brands when it is coming to WhatsApp, and I think that's a great learning for to be very pro RCS, because if you look into the brands, they are very concerned about Meta's overall strategy, because their overall strategy is to combine Instagram and the marketing with messages. And is that a fit with, for example, an airline? I think there's a lot of big use cases that do not want to mix up marketing and business critical messages. So I think there's a mismatch between Meta there and the needs from the brand. That is a concern. I would also say the massive complexity Meta have built up around, it was mentioned earlier today, on template management, controlling, that they really control the content in a bigger way than RCS is doing. I think that's a learning that we need to look at. How can that be way easier? And it already are with RCS. So that's a great, more benefit with RCS. But on the other side, I think we also need to see Mark Zuckerberg. He's talking about business messaging in his quarterly earning calls. They're talking about business messaging in all important Meta events. Why are not operator there? Why are we not together bringing up RCS at a level up here? We're still talking about it here with the just people working with it. So there's a huge gap, and it's a huge potential to bring more awareness and show the value of RCS.
And maybe we need to do that a bit more with Apple, right?
Yeah.
There was obviously the call this week, and it was a very, very small one line about what they're doing with business messaging. So maybe next year we'll have Apple here as well.
Yep.
How about that? That'll be, we'll try for that.
Great.
Okay, I think we've got just 1 or 2 minutes. Is there any questions from this amazing panel? We've obviously answered everything now. So it's getting a little bit late in the day, so I'd accept that. So thank you ever so much, guys. That was really useful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.